last video, we talked about Hocus Pocus. We did a little review of it. Now, we're going to talk about some news that came out a few weeks ago about the future of the franchise. On September 28th, so this is from Deadline, it says, Hocus Pocus TV movie in works at Disney Channel. Disney Channel is in the early stages of development on Hocus Pocus TV movie, a reimagining of the 1993 cult classic.
No!
Clara doesn't know.
No! What? Why?
Yeah.
What?
Let me finish reading.
No! I don't want to live in this world. Oh, go on.
Yeah.
The new take is being written by Scarlett Lacey, the Royals, with David something, whatever.
David.
The David, whatever his name, was on board in the original movie as executive producer.
So he should know better.
Yes.
David.
Yeah, David, if you're watching this, which you probably are, don't do it.
I thought you were going to say something different there.
No, I'm appealing
Okay,
to
so
his good...
very interesting aspect of this is the new Hocus Pocus iteration will have a new cast and a new director. Even though Ortega has directed a bunch of Disney Channel's biggest movies, including...
He knows that it's a bad idea. He
High
knows.
School musical is Kenny Ortega, at the very least. Iconic, too.
And Descendants.
Yeah, whatever.
It's a big deal for the new generation.
I know, we're not of you.
Clara
I love the Descendants.
Okay, but we're not technically of that generation.
No.
But Kenny Ortega transcends it, and I would argue you can't really do it without him. And also, you can't do it as a Disney Channel movie, and you can't do it with the original.
You can't do it. I can barely hold this pillow.
Yes.
I'm angry.
Good thing it's the pillow, not like a vase.
Okay, so my biggest thing here, I want to say I don't actually agree with the Kenny Ortega thing. I think you could do it without Kenny Ortega and it would be fine.
I'm sure.
But
yeah, okay.
But especially if you got someone who was a big fan of the original and is now a good director or something like that.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
In no way ever should this be a Disney Channel original movie.
What'll happen about the virgins?
Is this going to be sanitized? It's going to be cheesy in the wrong ways. The comedy won't, honestly, the comedy here is kind of fun.
Pure.
Well, that's why it isn't. That's why
it's all what it is. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't mean pure as in chaste.
It's
virgin.
classic.
I mean, it's pure as in it's unadulterated greatness.
Yeah.
It's witty and clever, and sometimes it does that wonderful thing that makes it enjoyable for people of all ages, where it skirts the line of something there for the adults and something there for the kids. And on rewatch, when you're older, you catch it and you love it and it grows.
Yeah, and it works on multiple levels. Now, I mean, I am someone who is a fan of Disney Channel original movies to this day, and I think there are good ones. And there are ones I think Under Wraps is still funny. It's not funny in the same way, and it isn't this is what... you shouldn't follow this up almost in general, I would say, but you certainly shouldn't follow it up where your starting place is it just can't be the same kind of movie as the original.
Can I just, I'm so sick of people remaking movies. I'm tempted to, I need to start drawing the line and just not seeing remakes, because they need to just, they could do a sequel. I'm okay with them using the source material. I would see it, right? But, this irks me. What else are they, remake Casablanca? Okay,
I'm sure someone has tried.
Yeah, well...
How would you feel if it was a sequel, the Sanderson sisters came back with a new set of kids or whatever, and the Sanderson sisters are played by different people? How would you deal with that?
I would deal better with that than I would with this.
Just completely redoing it.
I suppose you're right. I mean, I'm like, you can't, but then I'm like, but maybe you could. The other point is that I want to say is it ends by setting it up for a sequel.
Yeah.
Not definitively in that wonderful 90s way when it's you might or might not. It wasn't a must the way it is now.
Winnie,
her but because now it's things really are more concretely said, a movie ends and you might see us in the sequel, that kind of thing. But in this way, it's set up for that. So even if it's a different cast, you can explain it away with magic.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of people would say it's sacrilege for us to even be talking about having a different cast. I think the thing that's important too is, I think if you did a sequel with the same cast, then you run the risk of what if it isn't as good with the same cast? You know, like, what if it, like, you can't recapture the magic, no pun intended, and it just, you don't necessarily have the same script, or it's just weird now that they're old and it just doesn't feel the same. Like, I don't necessarily think that going back to the well is always a good idea just because you'd like to see them again, because you know what, time has passed and they're not the same people anymore.
I would have been 100% actually, I think, better with the entirely new cast, same universe.
Yeah.
I would have been thrilled. And I would have seen it, and I probably wouldn't have liked it as much, but like,
I think the main thing to me is the Disney Channel aspect.
Yeah.
I could see a reboot. The other thing is, if you're bringing something back, and even if you're gonna, I think you can reboot something if you're gonna do it with a new take. You can't just do it again.
Right.
Yeah, like,
and I don't see how doing it on Disney Channel is really a new take.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
it
if
just
you made it really scary, that could be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, or better effects or something. Like,
but that's not what matters.
No.
This film.
It obviously isn't.
Yeah.
But my thing is, certain things have to be in the through line, either in a reboot or in a sequel. Mostly in a sequel that connects it just enough to the original without, like, while still being a little fresh.
Yeah.
So something about the essence of the movie has to be the same.
Yeah.
So even if you can't capture the essence, that's when you usually see the same cast or like the same director is back or the same screenwriter or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, or, you know, if it just has to be a combination. And I feel like with this, they're basically starting from scratch.
Well, yeah, you need to either have capture the same mood really well, or just bring the same people back. And so, like,
or both.
Yeah, like, that's the thing is, I feel like if you, I'm saying you need to have at least one of those factors. That's the thing is, I think if they did a reboot in theaters with a whole new cast, then at least I could go, well, maybe they'll capture the comedy, the feeling, the style of the film. Whereas I feel like if you're on Disney Channel, there's no way the style and the kind of comedy is going to stay the same. And instead it just sounds completely like a cash grab of, oh, we know our Disney Channel kids watch this movie every year, whatever. Now let's make a watered-down kids version that the parents will be happier with.
Yeah.
Like, that's what
Or another thing is playing on this nostalgia of...
I think that's what they're doing, and that's why I'm bummed out, Dan.
Yeah.
I feel used and dirty.
Yeah, me too. As a millennial who came of age watching this movie again and again and again in your basement.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
She came of age repeatedly in my basement.
well,
oh,
no.
Billy, you shouldn't have heard that. Oh wait, we don't have ears. We're good.
No, but this is awful. I'm really sad.
This makes me sad. Like, I just find it so unnecessary. And Disney Channel, you should be ashamed of yourself. I know that this is kind of, this channel's brand is like Disney Channel, but like,
well, no,
for shame.
It's not
your brand.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, part of me is hopeful that I'm like, okay, they've been throwing this idea around of different ideas of Hocus Pocus being brought back for years. So part of me is like, well, maybe this will never actually see the light of day.
I don't think it will.
But Disney specifically has been going down this well of, first we did Girl Meets World, now we're bringing back That's So Raven. We're doing a new show with the creator of Liz McGuire. It's not Liz McGuire Returns, but it's the idea of bringing back that feeling. And it's been doing well for them. So, and now we're even hearing about a High School Musical reboot on Disney
I
Channel.
did not hear about this.
So, they don't have any new ideas.
Well, Descendants is, I mean, it's not a new idea, but it's a new combination of
They
ideas.
put them in high school. That's
They kind of took it from Once Upon a Time, too, which is still a Disney
which
property.
took it from Fables.
I don't know what that is.
That's the comic
Avalon
series.
High, too.
Yeah, okay, I shouldn't say Disney Channel has no new ideas. They have lots of weird new weird new
Moana.
shows. Yeah, I'm talking about Disney Channel.
See, that's
Moana, the Disney Channel original movie, could be better than Hocus Pocus, the remake.
Oh my god, that's true. Honestly, Moana fits better in that style.
Right?
Which it should be a crossover with the 13th year.
Len.
Alright, who else is watching this movie? A bunch of Disney executives, Disney Channel, and Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I mean, the thing that this is totally off track, but I do think it's funny that they could easily do a live action version of Moana just with the same actors who playing playing The Rock, and The Rock playing the
and Ali
they both just could easily be those characters in live action.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
I'd so much rather watch that than remake a Hocus Pocus.
Here's another thing.
What if Lin-Manuel Miranda... I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you. Would you watch the Hocus Pocus remake, and would it be a new take if Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote a whole new series of songs?
Of course! Anything with him is like a fresh new take.
Okay, so that's the one way.
It's acceptable if it's a decom.
I think there's also a way of doing it where you make it... You may think of it because of Lin-Manuel, but... if they made it something more specifically about making a statement about, like, persecution and connecting back the Salem witch trials thing a little bit more, like, just giving a different, a little bit of a different spin on it.
You know what? I wouldn't be... I mean, again, I don't really watch modern-day Disney Channel, but arguably, they might actually make that stretch of a statement.
Yeah.
Like, they are kind of from what you've told me about, like, Girl Meets World and
Andy Mack.
Yeah. They're capable and willing to make that kind of statement.
So it's possible.
Have we been turned around?
You know what?
I don't know.
I'm also starting to think, like, all right, I love Hocus Pocus, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That movie was all white people.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking.
White people. What's the?
I mean, like,
well, I mean, that
always
just
difficult for me to notice, right? Like, but like thinking about it, like, ooh, you know what? They could remake that, like A Wrinkle in Time, right? They're doing like that. That's really
a more
awesome.
diverse
like,
cast.
Yeah.
Like Massachusetts doesn't. It's not 100% white people.
Yeah.
It's not the most diverse place,
but
as far as the witches, I think the witches have to be white. I mean, they don't have to be white, but it makes sense that they would be white, right? Unless they were slaves.
If they're specifically, again, the Sanderson sister, again, it's the debate of how much are they rebooting it. When I was seeing and hearing about Hocus Pocus being rebooted, I actually saw a lot of comments from people like, if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna start from scratch with a new cast, it might as well be these 3 black actresses. Like, they're great. And I wish I could remember who it was.
Yeah.
But this news was clearly, like, almost a month ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to scroll through my Twitter feed to find that for you. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, arguably, like, that could be if you're going to do it, why the hell not?
Here's what I'll say. If they make it, like, an entire, like, all-white cast, like, I don't think, right? I don't think that I'll watch it.
Really? That matters you that much?
It really does.
Interesting.
If they're going to remake a movie that I don't think has any issues in terms of, like, content, but definitely, like, upon consideration, reflection, has serious
blind
drawback
spots.
of, like, being 100% white.
Yeah.
And
but
there's some weird racist stuff.
And, like,
some background.
The costumes thing, but that was also a sign of the times.
It was a sign of the times.
Yeah.
I mean, but they could redo that, right?
Yeah,
like, they can make, like, that would be something to do.
I don't know. I mean, yes, that could be
that
something
would
to do.
definitely.
To me, I don't watch this and go, oh, it has serious issues. It's all white people, because most old movies have all white. Like, I mean, like,
but
that
if you're
was.
gonna make,
if you're making it now,
if you're gonna remake it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, why are we remaking it?
Yeah.
To make more money. Okay. So that's like, check.
Yeah.
But, like, step 2, like, let's try to, like, fix some of the stuff that we messed up last time. Like, that should be their number 1 priority.
Yeah.
Well, one of my arguments of, like, why isn't there more representation in like, mass-marketed content is, why don't you do it? Because it'll connect these different audiences to your work, and you're going to get more loyalty and more people buying your merch or going to your events and following this person.
To be fair, though, I mean, the counter-argument, to play devil's advocate, and this is definitely a devil's advocate, you could argue that by making them all black, that a large number of people would say, this isn't the movie that I want, these aren't the characters that I fell in love with.
It's not the movie anyone wants. No one asked for this movie. And I would still much rather that they just make a new movie with, like, a great, you know, like, whatever, a sequel.
Yeah. Well, the argument of that responding to that, that's like the people who boycott Star Wars now because there's a black stormtrooper.
I mean, like, I think, hasn't every movie that people have been like, oh, we're afraid to make this movie with black people or, like, with a woman lead because no one will, like, oh, look at this, like, breaking all these box office records. What a shock.
I mean, it's a little, I wish it was that black and white. But I mean, a lot of before Wonder Woman, most of the female-led movies failed completely.
I mean, that's true.
Most of them were
The
terrible.
superhero
Yeah,
ones,
most of
you
them
mean.
were really bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, and we don't have. Unfortunately, we don't have a black superhero yet to.
Well,
Soon,
make
Black
sense.
Panther's
Yeah,
coming soon.
yet. I want us to take a couple steps back and just say, I mean, I know I was arguing before that the sisters should all be white because to me that just makes sense because they're from Salem.
Okay, but actually,
they could be.
you know about
But-
Tituba,
Yes.
Yeah.
and like, so like
It would be difficult, I think, in some, again, of like it's historically of them being like,
Yeah.
but then that's implications of slavery
Yeah.
given the times.
But
or
maybe they
something.
could. Maybe that's why they turned to
think they need
witchcraft
to.
or something.
I don't think that.
I don't think
mean,
they would
like,
address
I guess
it.
we
Yeah.
don't have enough time to talk about like race in 17th century America.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it wasn't the same
Yeah.
thing.
This is
Like,
really the context for talking about race in 17th century America.
all I mean to say is I think they canon should be
Okay, so what I'll say
women of
is
color.
the reason I was bringing it back to that statement is that was my first thought because I'm like, okay, like logically it makes sense. Also, like when you think of the Salem witches, I feel like there's a reason why you normally think of white people because I mean, isn't that probably mostly historically accurate? But I would say,
You're meant to.
I would say that maybe I don't care. Like, if I think about it for another couple of seconds, I'm like, okay, yes, it's not historically accurate, but for the sake of the statement, and if they were great actresses, I would get over that in 5
Also,
seconds.
the Sanderson sisters weren't
Like
in
real.
Salem.
Oh, they weren't?
No, they're not real people from Salem.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
that's not what I'm saying.
yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. I
In
thought,
the
I thought you were
fictional
saying in the
world.
movie they
Oh,
were
no.
actually, I was like, were they
No.
supposed to be in a different colony or something?
No. But
It's
Yeah.
alternative universe Massachusetts.
yeah.
yeah.
I almost said alt-right Massachusetts given our previous discussion.
Alrighty. So I think we're good.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add, Billy? No, I'm good.
Olga had a lot of espresso earlier today.
It was a mistake.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please check out our other spooky content.
So
We're gonna have
spooky.
links about. Please subscribe to us, youtube.com/doingok. Check out our social media, I'll have links about. And please leave comments down below with your thoughts about the sequel and about maybe changing the race and all that stuff.
Or just your love for Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
And if you don't love Hocus Pocus, get out.
Yeah. Yeah.